Hey there, friends. How's it going? Ooh, it's really nippy tonight. It's super cold. It's, well, according to my phone, around 40 degrees. I guess that's not very cold to anybody who lives up in Alaska or, Norway or something, but it's pretty cold for even the Pacific Northwest, and my little scrawny body can't handle it very well. But you know what? I'm doing my best. I'm making the video outside here because if I do it inside where it's nice and warm, um, I'm working on remodeling this house, and it's just this echo, and it's quite annoying. My past couple videos had quite an echo in there, so I thought I would do it out here in the under the crisp sky and the 3/4 full moon, the waxing moon, and just kind of touch base here and say hello to everyone and let you know that everything is okay. And that's coming from me. So if I tell you everything's okay, that means it is. Everything is just fine. Okay? Now you're good to go. You don't have to worry about anything anymore. You don't have to stress about what's going to happen, what may happen, what has happened. Just know that right now, in this moment, right now, take a deep breath. Then another one. It's so easy to overlook this simple aspect of being calm, which is breathing. Breathing not just being a technique, but life. In fact, the word to inspire, if somebody says they are inspired by something, inspire is to breathe. Inspire means to breathe in, okay? And I guess I could also get into the breath of God and the biblical texts and the meaning of the breath of God behind it. But let's just say that everything is a breath, and understanding that metaphor, I think, is key to our survival, key to our happiness. And some of you might be saying, what are you even talking about? Like, why do I have to understand breath to understand happiness? Because by analyzing our breathing, by analyzing our behavior and how it affects our breath, we can really get a better sense of who we are and when things are wrong or when things are right. Meditation has this goal in mind. It's all about the breathing. It's not about the mind. Some meditations want you to let your mind wander, others have you focus on something. It's not about the meditation. It's about the breath. So I'm going to pause this while I wait for this effing siren to pass, and I'm going to take some breaths. All right, now that that bullshit's almost over, I can get back to my point. As I've said, I don't get too frustrated with sirens, but every time I come here, they just, the minute I go outside to make a video or, talk about something, it's just sirens. And maybe that's just kind of a metaphor for the moment, the time in history where we're at, it's just, everything's a fucking emergency. You know what I mean? And that's not relating to the sirens there. I'm sure somebody is hurt. Somebody called the fire department. Somebody called for an ambulance, and they're rushing to help those people. And I think that's great. So it's not that the sirens themselves and their purpose is the issue, but rather just kind of that larger symbolism of living near the city, living in the chaos. Since I've moved out to my new place, every morning when I wake up, I listen and I might hear like a rushing sound, and I think, what is that? Oh, is that cars? No. It's just the vent above my bed, because it's so damn quiet that I can actually hear the vents blowing air in my home. I can have the window open and there's not a sound. Even on a busy day, there's maybe a couple cars a minute that drive down the road, the main road, which is a ways away. So I'm not here to sit and brag about where I live, but rather my wife and I wanted a place like this because we wanted to get away from the chaos. When your mind is able to sit quietly, it's able to pick up on more than just what's going on around you. Meditation, being distracted, is one of the worst things in meditation. This is why people go to quiet places, obviously. But you don't realize that in your day-to-day life, every quiet moment you have is your meditation. In the Western world, people are afraid to actually sit quietly with their own thoughts. This is something I've mentioned, and I really don't bring up too often because I feel like I'm kind of scolding everyone I know, including, people I don't know. But God damn it, can people not sit quietly with themselves for 10 fucking minutes without having to go look on YouTube or see what's going on in the news? Or, I walk around and, when I'm shopping or going to town, and there's just people walking across the street looking down at their fucking phones. It's like, can't you just take a moment to just breathe and be? Look around at the trees, look at nature. That sounds a little bit harsh, maybe, but actually I think it's maybe that's my own perception of just how it comes across to people, because I know a lot of the folks watching this are probably in that category, and I know that because I'm in that category. Okay, I'm not innocent here. I'm not saying that I don't look at my phone. I'm not saying that I'm always in a meditative state or I'm always in some deep thought, but rather the opposite. That I acknowledge and realize, oh shit, better get it back on this track. Better pay attention to not paying attention. You see what I mean? I don't see the need to pay attention to everything that's going on in society, in the news, in politics. But I also see it as important to understand what's going on in our world around us. And this, my friends, this is where the problem lies. How much attention is enough attention to give to the bullshit that we can't control? I feel like I've spun my wheels into the grease at this point, and all the way down into the dirt and sand to where everything's just clogged up. There's no answer to this question of what matters. I've really thought about this so much. There is no, let's just say that if you want to diagnose what people should do with their attention and their time, it's compare it to a diagnosis of health concerns. Okay, I think this is one of the biggest issues that I have the hardest time conveying. What's good for one is not good for everyone, and this is so obvious. But there are people out there, many people, millions of people, if not billions of people, who really probably, if you ask them, will tell you, if everyone just thought this way, if everyone just believed this political view, or if everyone had this religion, then the world would be a better place. And to me, I just consider that complete hogwash. And so when I say it's similar to a medical diagnosis, if 10 people go to the doctor and the doctor comes back to each person and said, this is what you can do to improve your health, it's going to be different for each person. There's never been a one-size-fits-all health craze that just work. They have diets, they've got all kinds of new medication. Oh, you're feeling sad, here, take this antidepressant. Then a week later you got to try a different one, or a month later you try a different one. And there are people who are trying 10 different antidepressants before they find one that may or may not work. Or maybe they're just not fucking depressed anymore. But the point is that what works for one person doesn't work for everyone. And this is important to acknowledge when it comes to what matters. And what I mean by this is, you might know people in your life who are obsessed with politics. And you might also be obsessed with politics. And maybe you argue with them, or discuss with them, or agree with them. But if you're not interested in political bullshit, and you have friends, family, acquaintances that are, then you can't tell them necessarily, well, you shouldn't care about this, right? we need people who pay attention to certain things. And I think about political pundits the same way I think about carpenters, the same way I think about an electrician. Somebody dedicates their time to learning about a topic. But here's where it gets interesting. And here's, I think, the important part. There are a lot of folks out there who will tell you you should care more about what's going on politically. You should vote, you should pay attention, and you should know your constituents, and you should know your politicians, whatever it might be. It's all hogwash as well. You don't need to know all these things. You can leave it up to the experts. The same way you don't need to know every aspect of your own, health issues. You expect the doctor to understand these things, but we do an amount of research to at least understand ourselves. But that everybody has expertise in their own realms, okay? And everybody does their own thing. And I'm only saying this because I personally have gone back and forth on paying attention to world issues, whether it's wars, politics, apocalypse, nuclear war, AI, all these things I pay attention to, but I don't let them get me wrapped up emotionally. I say this is part of life, and I trust that things will end up the way they're meant to end up. Okay, I believe in fate. I don't believe humans can change our fate, because whatever that end result is the fate. It gets into some really interesting existential discussions about, existence and God and whether or not we have a purpose and there's something we should be striving towards. And people will disagree all day long about whether we're on the right path. But what really matters here is that we find a place in our own lives where we can do the most good. Whatever that might be. For me, it's something as cheesy as, I try to, take care of my family. I try to be as honest as I can. I try to do a good job as a carpenter when I'm working. I'm just doing my best here. But I also have my YouTube channel, which at times has just seemed like such a waste of time to me. I'm like, if I'd put as much time into a business or something else, or made a YouTube channel that was, intended to be successful monetarily, it could be, I could be successful now. I could be able to afford my house and not worry about money. But that's not the reality. But I do it because I love it, not because I want to make money. And I'm going to pause this again because I cannot deal with the fucking sirens. So I'm back now, and the fucking sirens have ended, as I said. The fucking sirens. I'm not a big fan of noise. I'm not a big fan of chaos. And I feel like I live in a world that's full of noise and chaos. Not just noise and chaos that you can actually perceive by walking out your door, but noise and chaos everywhere I look. It's on the internet. It's in the newspapers. It's in magazines. It's in the music. Everybody's got a fucking gripe. Everybody's complaining about something. But there's a huge segment of society that just takes things as they are, and we have to acknowledge that and really kind of lean in to those viewpoints that say, hey, it is what it is, here we are. I think that's the most important thing we can do, not be so hung up on what could be. Everyone's an idealist. Everyone has an idea of what they think would be best for the world, for the nation, for the neighborhood. Get over it, okay? People are different. People have unique views. Actually, this reminds me of a discussion I had yesterday with a couple of my friends about the word utopia. And one of my friends told me, we were texting in this group chat, and he said, utopia is, what's best for everyone. He says, it's not like John and Cindy can have a different utopia. That's not a thing. And I was like, I totally fucking disagree. Completely disagree. Like, you're telling me that one man's utopia can't be different than another man's utopia. So my utopia would be a world that's going back to its roots, that has abandoned, basically a world without the internet. I'm all for it, 100%. I feel like we just can't even use the tools that we have properly. It hasn't given us enough benefits to show its value. Since the internet was invented, the average human being, let's say the average US citizen, isn't doing better than they were before the internet. So financially or, health wise, what good is it? It keeps us distracted. And so I have different views than other people on that. My idea of a utopia is kind of working the land. And yeah, it's harder work, but it's rewarding work. I feel like I've given up on like society being worth working for because it's just such a cesspool. But I still have to navigate it because I have to, I have a family, I have a life, I have to afford my home and the things that I do. And so be it, I'll work towards that. As somebody said once, work, yeah, the whole system's corrupted, but you have to use it to your advantage or else you'll get run over by it, steamrolled. And that's absolutely true. So I think it's really about finding our connection, something that we're good at, something that we enjoy. I'm not talking about good at like you're the best at, but something that you really enjoy. Like I'm a carpenter and I've worked with other materials. I tried to do stone work for a while, cutting cabochons like necklaces, jewelry, making beads out of stone. I've worked with glass a tiny bit with some friends, but the last one I wanted to work with is metal. I want to forge my own knife. In fact, actually, my son gave me this. I thought I was going to show this the other day, but my son gave me this knife for my birthday. So it's a handmade leather sheath, which they all are, but it's a nice knife. And it's got this, it's not real, actually, I believe I can't remember what it's called, something like real stone or something, but they use this as like a, for, I guess, I'm at a loss for words. It's just a decorative band on the knife handle, but it's supposed to look like turquoise. But anyway, it's hard. It's not plastic, but you can see that it's got what looks like a hickory handle here and then a walnut part here. But for me, making knife handles is something I've always wanted to do. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to make knife handles, I want to make knives too. So I got the plans already and I'm going to go do it because it's something I want to do. If I make money off of it, that's great. And if I don't, so be it. And this is kind of where I'm at right now in life. I want to be able to make money, but also do my passions. And I've realized that everything seems to be about making money off of everything you do these days. And that's, I think, something people need to move away from and get back to our hobbies, our enjoyment, and just basic joys in life. But with that said, it is getting cold out here, and I'm going to pack up and I'm going to head home because I'm getting tired. But I just wanted to make a video while I was down here at the house since it's the only time I have the internet and I can upload. And yeah, I'll probably be sharing some more stuff in the next week or two once I get back down here and have the time to make some videos of some discussions that I've wanted to have. Here come the sirens. I'll be goddamned. I'm out of here. I'm going to do them all at home from now on in the woods. Fuck this place.